current Lotus Emira that's in front of us for luxury interiors. Let's just have a look at some of the storage areas. A storage unit in the center console, beautifully clad in. So let's talk the front end design, the EV, the Evija, the hypercar video, so you can make the comparison. So that was the 2023 Lotus. Should you be interested in this particular, straight out of Norfolk in England comes the Emira, looking like $1 million. Incredible supercar looks. You can get it for less than $100,000. The Lotus Emira brags a 3.5 litre supercharged V6 engine, 0 to 100 in just 3.4 seconds, supercar performance. And should you be interested in a Lotus Emira, I will leave a link below to Daytona in the waterfront in Cape Town, South Africa. As I mentioned earlier, the Lotus Emira for less than $100,000, great value for a sports car with supercar performance. However, unfortunately, these are the last petrol engines available from Lotus, and that is the 3.5 litre V6 supercharged engine, and then of course the Mercedes-Benz AMG 4-cylinder engine. Those will be the very last petrol engines from Lotus. Thereafter, they will move over to EV, electric vehicles, and currently they've just launched the Electra, the SUV, and I will leave a link below to the SUV should you like to view that. And then of course the Evija, which is the hypercar, only 8 produced so far. That is the future of Lotus, electric vehicles for the future. So let's check out the Emira's key, a beautifully new design key fob with the new Lotus logo. And then when you turn it around, it says on the side for the drivers. Let's talk drivetrains. And the current Lotus Emira that's in front of us has the 3.5 supercharged V6 engine, sourced from Toyota, actually from the Toyota Camry, 0 to 100 in just 3.4 seconds and 400 brake horsepower. The second option in the Lotus Emira is the 4-cylinder AMG engine, sourced from Mercedes-Benz, which has 360 horsepower and also 0 to 100 in just 3.4 seconds. So those are the two drivetrains available in the Lotus Emira. Let's talk the rear boot space of the Emira, and just behind the mid-engine you have a very large boot area that can take at least 3 or 4 soft bags. You will note that it's got a lot of depth on the left and a lot of depth on the right, and similarly right at the back of the boot. So there's quite a lot of space for at least 4 soft bags, a really nice size for a sports car. And then within it you have your battery cover. That is where the battery is stored. You need to remove that with a spanner. And then you have your emergency triangle, which needs to be tethered at the back here so it doesn't slide around. And then should you be locked in your own boot, you have your little toggle that you can pull so you can get out of your boot. And then of course you have your emergency kit, very nicely presented by Lotus. And in there you have your tow hitch, you have your glue for repairing a tire, and then we'll talk about this special tool a little later. This is for opening the front boot, which is not for storage, purely for services, but we'll show you how that all works a little later. And then further to the storage, we also have storage space within the cabin that you can store soft luggage in behind the 2 front seats. There's a parcel tray that will provide you the necessary storage for at least 2 soft suitcases. So how do you open your Emira's door? Well, it's very simple. You have a flush door lever, you push it at the end, it pops open, a conventional door, large areas for getting in and out of the vehicle, conventional door, very simple to get in and out of your Lotus. It's never been easier in the Lotus Emira to get in and get out of your Lotus, which was not the case in the past. In the past, it was always difficult to get into your Lotus. The seats were uncomfortable, the thresholds were too wide, the door penetrations were too small, but not in the Lotus Emira. The doors have become a lot wider, a lot easier to get in. The thresholds have become a lot smaller. The seats have become more comfortable, and it is far easier to get in and out of your Emira. And Lotus has made sure that they've given enough headspace, and they brag that you should be able to wear a helmet in your Emira and have more than enough headspace to be on the track. So a very focused and luxury cabin available for a luxury travel. And then of course, if you want to be on the track wearing your helmet, you'll have enough headspace. In the past, Lotus was never famous for luxury interiors and providing conveniences and storage, but in the Emira that has all changed. A luxurious cabin has been created in the Emira with lots of storage space and lots of conveniences and lots of luxury, lots of leather and lots of comfort. So let's just have a look at some of the storage areas. You have the traditional glove box, beautifully designed in a leather clad dashboard. um, then you have cup holders in the center console, a storage unit in the center console, beautifully clad in leather. And then you have a little penetration here in the center console for storing your cell phone. And then we also have another smaller one just below the gear linkage design for a storage of small items. And then, of course, in the doors, you have large door panels for storage as well. Quite unfamiliar for Lotus, providing all these conveniences within the cabin of the new Emira. Lotus Emira has the 6-speed manual, and it has the 6 forward gears with the exposed gear linkage, beautiful design, and you can appreciate the changing of your gears. It's also lit at night so that you can actually see those gears changing. On the automatic version, that is closed with carbon fiber, so you can't appreciate that, but a beautiful design, a beautiful gear knob as well in aluminium. And then, of course, they've stuck to Colin Chapman's rule, and that is no more than a hand's breadth between the gear, a lever, and the steering for quick changing on the track. Never have we had such luxuries in a Lotus. The Lotus Emira brags 2 LCD screens, the center gauge cluster, and then, of course, the central control cluster, which controls all of your climate control and your various other functions. Very simple to use. You have tiles left and right, which you can flip through quite easily. All your different options. There we go. Very simple system. Never seen in a Lotus before. Very basic, but very intuitive, but by no means difficult at all. And now we're at the central gauge cluster, a very simple designed unit, and it's been specially positioned, and so is the steering. The steering has been designed so that you can see the gauge cluster without having steering in the way. And the gauge cluster itself is very simple. You have the rev counter on top, you have your fuel level below, and you have your temperature on the right. Then you have electronic speed indicator on the left hand side, and then you have your gear functions on the right. And then we have the steering of the Emira. You have the Lotus logo right in the center. There we go. And then you have your various controls left and right. These are touchpads which you can maneuver all of your functions. There we go. There you've got your maximum G function, your minimum G function, your various different power modes, etc. There we go. Tire pressure. So very intuitive, quite easily to operate. And then on the other side, we have the same, your cruise control and all your various other functions. A very, very simple system, not too complicated, on left and right of the steering. And then we can move down to the center console of the Emira, and you will note before I move on that they have all of the detail on the center climate vents. They have a mirror, and then as you move down, you have your control for your climate control, all manual controls for your airflow, etc. And you'll note that your little man has a helmet in this particular vehicle, so definitely a track-focused Emira. And then when you move down, you have your sound control, you have your hazard lights, and then you have your control for your various drive modes. And then you have your manual selector, as we mentioned earlier, and then you have your very Ferrari-esque little cover for your start button. And then when you move down, you have your cup holders, and you have your storage unit behind you, all clad in leather. Never in a Lotus before have we had such beautifully designed and luxurious seats. The logo included, beautifully leather clad, beautifully embossed, and stunningly hand-stitched leather seats. And this particular Lotus, as we see it today, is the first edition Emira, very special limited edition Emira, available, as I said earlier, from Daytona in the waterfront in Cape Town. The rear end design of the Lotus Emira, and it's very reminiscent of the Evija EV, and you will note the very large air vents left and right at the rear, which cool the rear disc brakes, very reminiscent of the EV. And similarly, the 3D lighting systems, beautiful LED design, very much like the Evija, and similarly the contoured rear end and the massive rear splitter with the two exhausts left and right. A beautiful design, very futuristic and totally unique to the Lotus Emira. Further to the storage area in the Lotus Emira, quite a lot of storage space, but unfortunately the front boot area is not for storage, it's purely for services. Up front here we have the very large fan which cools the V6 supercharged engine, and then we also have the services, all the braking facilities, etc. So no storage is available up front here, but should you want to open it, it is available. You have a tool in your emergency kit that looks like that, and this tool enables you to open your front boot. There are four lugs, 1, 2, 3, 4, that you have to undo with this tool, and that then opens and then hinges from the bottom end of the boot end just above the Lotus badge. That hinges up, and then you're able to access your front boot of your Lotus Emira. However, no luggage space is available up front. Let's talk the color options on the Lotus Emira, and this particular Lotus is in Seneca Blue. It's a launch color, and it has the two-tone black roof and Seneca Blue body. Then you also have Magma Red, Ethel Yellow, Dark Verdant, Shadow Grey, and Nimbus Grey. And all of the colors I've just mentioned also has the choice of having the two-tone or black roof or a one body color on ordering your Emira. And then we have the mag wheel option on the Lotus Emira, and we have 20-inch mag wheels front and back, and we have 4 different caliper color options. And in this particular Emira we have the Ethel Yellow, and we only have steel rotors available in the Emira range, and currently we have the 16-inch steel rotors on this particular Lotus Emira. And then of course we also have the beautiful Lotus badge in Ethel Yellow in the center of the mag wheel. So let's talk the front end design of the Emira, and as I said earlier, very reminiscent of the EV, the Evija, the hypercar, and you will note the beautiful LED headlights up front, and similarly the very large splitter and air intakes, very Evija. And then as you move up you have these very large air intakes, very unique design, and also very reminiscent of the Evija. I will include images in this video so you can make the comparison. A beautiful and unique design up front of the Lotus Emira that looks very similar to its sister, which is the hypercar, the Lotus Evija. Another design quirk of the Emira is the side air vents, which are in the middle of the Emira, and they run through to cool the rear discs and then exit out the rear just below the LED taillights, very reminiscent of the EV, the Evija. Lotus tends to make their name in 3 categories: steering, handling, and ride quality. The hydraulic steering is simply phenomenal, delicate and properly weighted. The combination of perfectly judged controls and beautifully balanced chassis makes the Emira feel more natural and communicative than, suppose, a driver's cars that cost twice as much. The Emira is better through a corner than anything in its class, and nearly anything on the road. Lotus offers 2 suspension options on the Emira, the first being Touring, which is a softer option, and then you have Sport, which is a far harder and more track-focused option for the Emira. As said, Sport is the harder of the 2, intended for the owner who will track the car, while Touring has a lower spring and damper rates and is designed for cars that will be road-driven almost exclusively. Suspension choice also impacts tires. Sport gets an option of a Goodyear Eagle F1, Super Sports or a Michelin Pilot Cup 2s, while Touring can only opt for the Goodyears. Both of these tires were created specifically for the Emira, and today we are going to be taking the Emira on a road test to test its performance, its road holding, its cornering. So here we go out onto the road to give her a test drive. looks the parts, but it doesn't necessarily cost all that money. And the other thing is, having the Toyota drivetrain, it's not a supercar or a sports car that's going to give trouble on a regular basis. Car, being the fact that it's got a Toyota drivetrain and it's got those supercar looks, what a pleasure. I think possibly Lotus is probably eating their words, because I think they could have charged a lot more for this car and people would have still bought it in the droves. Lotus Emira's performance and cornering is just incredible. Check this out. Road rolling is phenomenal. A little bit of body roll. Stunning. And having the manual transmission is just phenomenal. One of the last, I can presume, definitely. And unfortunately the last petrol driven Lotus. After this I believe it will be battery. So that's pretty sad. But not a bad swan song for Lotus, to be honest, because this is an incredible car. That supercharger working overtime behind us. And as I said earlier, a supercar for less than $100,000. This is definitely a supercar. It's got supercar looks and it performs like a supercar, to be honest, with everyday drivability. Where do you still have a hydraulic steering in a 2023 sports car? Fabulous. And you still have that Lotus feel. Haven't lost that. Fantastic. I gotta say, it's still a driver's experience. Fabulous car. There you go. That was the 2023 Lotus Emira, looking like $1 million but less than $100,000, and it's available here at Daytona in the waterfront in Cape Town, South Africa. And should you be interested in this particular or any other Emira which you can order, I will leave a link below. And don't forget, if you liked our video, don't forget to give us the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Current Lotus Emira that's in front of us for luxury interiors. Let's just have a look at some of the storage areas. A storage unit in the center console, beautifully clad in. So let's talk the front end design, the EV, the Evija, the Hypercar video, so you can make the comparison. So that was the 2023 Lotus. Should you be interested in this particular or any other